going to dance and have some fun.
Hi, my name is Sharon Leonard Kiefer. Welcome to my yellow chair.
Dig.
Hi, today I'm here with Molly Sanger Carpenter in her palace of, what are we going to call it? Sanctuary?
My backyard sanctuary.
Backyard
yes.
sanctuary. Molly is a fine arts sculptor, painter, mosaic artist. What else? What can we add to that list?
Oh, gold leaf. I've done some glass work where I actually cast the glass. Yeah, I've done a little bit of everything.
That's great. You know, the first time I met you was probably in the early 2000s at Gallery 50. You submitted some work for a show, and it was the tall dog masks covered in gold sequins. Do you remember that?
I remember that, yes.
What were they? Why did you create them? I don't even remember.
They were a piece that was used in as a prop in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, because my children did plays. And then they went on to be a prop in another play that my daughter did, and so
Oh yeah.
I still have them.
Yeah. Oh, you do?
I do.
I love them. I love them. I'm going to find a picture of them someday. But did you start with mask making? Like where did you start with? What medium and style did you start with when you began?
Back in high school, I had a really good 3D art program, and I started carving stone.
Wow.
We also had a really good pottery program, same teacher. Helen Mason, she was wonderful, is wonderful still. And so she gave us a real taste of everything. Even soft sculpture, I did some sewing work.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is high school now, not college.
High school.
Wow.
Yep.
Where did you go to high school?
I went to the Tatnall School over in Delaware.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was structured in such a way that I could take art class all day. Which was a really great thing. For a month, I could do pottery all day long.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I had like geometry for all day too.
Ooh.
On another month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not so.
Well, what a great experience. My gosh.
It was.
Yeah. So did that influence like how you got started with your artwork now? Because the artwork that you do now is like a combination of so many things for me. I can stare at your artwork all day and think of different things, and it moves me in different ways. You have the outside framework that I know you sculpt with clay. Mm-hmm. And then you have the painting.
Yeah.
And then you have the mosaic with using glass.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates this whimsical, I don't know, heavenly, fantastical, I don't know. There's just so many different words that I can use to describe your work. And then the frame itself, it just reminds me of cathedrals and religion and church, and maybe, you know, heaven in some way, but like with nature, you know. Is that what you're going for, or what?
Yeah.
What is it about to you?
Think about it when you go down in the woods and the trees are arching overhead. It's very much like a cathedral, sort of like La Sagrada Familia in Spain. I think that's what Gaudi was thinking of. So I've always been just sort of enchanted by the woods and enchanted by cathedrals in general, and I took the two and I combined them.
Mm-hmm. So that process, you actually sculpt the clay.
I do.
And you incorporate some female figures. I don't know if they're supposed to be angels or there's animals sculpted in there. How do you get the ideas for your frames?
It's sort of a storyline that I work with, but instead of being a story that's written with words, I try to write it with visual arts. So
we can just look at the frame and come up with a story?
Yeah, and everybody kind of comes up with their own story.
Okay.
So, and that's fine too.
I know.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you move on to the second, then you cast that frame. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then you move on to the painting.
Yes.
Is that correct? That's the second kind of stage
then I do
after
the
frame.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also the patina. which is actually a multi-layered way of painting what looks to be old gilded surfaces or bronze or even ivory. I'll do that and the painting before I do the mosaic.
Okay. So you're doing this to the frame, you're doing the gold to the frame, but then when do you paint the little animal in the center?
After I do the patina, then I'll paint the little animal in the center.
Okay.
And actually I'm doing a series now where it's a little sculpture in the center instead of a little
Oh,
painting.
wow.
But that's
Yeah.
what I'm working on now. And so the shape of what I paint doesn't really matter because I do the mosaic around the painting.
Okay,
So
cool.
I'm not confined by the parameters of what I have to work in.
Great. And how do you come up with the little animal or sculpture in the middle? Because does it have to do with the frame? Is that the continuation of the story of the frame?
Sometimes if you go just exactly the opposite way, it works even better. Like something that's totally incongruous, that will happen. But what usually happens is I'll just sit back and have a look at it and stay in my studio for a bit, and then I know what I want to do. It just kind of comes to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you add the glass mosaic, it kind of makes it dreamlike or fantastical. And
Thank
that just
you.
kind of ties the whole thing together.
And I have drawers and drawers of glass. I have a chest of drawers in my studio that's probably way too full of glass right now. And that's the fun part because you open up the drawer and it's like picking candy as a kid out of
Of
the candy
course.
shop. You just like a little bit of this, hold it up, and then finally you find the
You
one
did a
that's-
contest on your story one day on Instagram.
Yes.
Which background, the black or the...
Yeah.
I think I voted and what I chose didn't... No, I chose the glass, the iridescent.
It
Is that-
was black or blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think ultimately the person that commissioned it,
What did they choose?
they chose the blue.
Okay.
So
I think that's what I voted
went
for.
with. Yeah.
Well, I saw a quote, I think when you were doing your Soma show, you quoted in your artist statement that your work has a bit of artifact, myth, and fantasy.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what I see in each of your pieces. The frames are so traditional and almost Greek or Roman-esque, with how you handle the storyline, almost like statues, statuary in the frame. And then you move on to the myth, which kind of goes with the storyline. And then the fantastical or the fantasy is your little creature that you create and the glass mosaic. And it just kind of puts it in that kind of frame that this is like a dream or this is like a fantasy or not a cartoon, but animation maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just different than what I'm getting from the frame,
Okay.
But I want you to talk about how you get your influence for your little animals. Like, are they spirit animals? Are you thinking of a spirit and like the cupcake on the head or the pearls around the pig or, the frog? What does the frog have?
Well, you know how sometimes like just a little joke will pop in your head or something when you're talking to someone. It's sort of just a visual joke often, kind of a way to lighten it up.
Yeah.
But not always. Sometimes I'm very serious too. It's a little bit of both.
What's your favorite?
My favorite?
Yeah.
My favorite piece?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough one. I think I'll give the usual answer and say whichever one I'm working on.
Boo! I don't know. I was thinking maybe you'd tell us about your dog or something. Like there's some special animal that you added or something that was really meaningful at the time.
Well, there are some that pop up.
Yeah.
Quite often. The
Yeah.
frogs, the rabbits, the fish.
Is that because of being out here?
I think so. I think so because this is like my special place.
Yeah.
And this is where I come every day.
Yep. Absolutely.
Out for long walks in the woods. And
Yeah. So you have 2 dogs that you walk out here on the paths and whatnot,
The 2 very, very boisterous border collies. Yes.
who need a lot of space.
They need a lot of space, or else I heard a quote somewhere that artists are like border collies. You have to give them something to do, or you don't know what they're going to get into.
Uh-oh.
So I guess we have a lot in common.
Well, then you draw from nature, you get your animals for your, for the paintings, and you get your storylines from nature, so it all comes together in your artwork. Where is your studio?
My studio's in the house. It's a room that served as a parlor for a very long time. The house has been in my husband's family for a couple hundred years. And I slowly took it over as I approached 40. And then I have finally made it all completely mine for the last, well, if I tell you how long, you'll know how old I am. But yeah, it's great to have it in the house for a lot of reasons. I can be there anytime I want to. I don't have to make a special trip. And it's forced me to kind of keep my work as healthy and non-toxic as possible. When I had a studio outside the home, I could work in fiberglass with polyester resin or whatever, and I can't do that now.
Yeah, not inside your house.
No.
And it's not very good for your health anyway.
Exactly.
So you're keeping it real, keeping it healthy.
Exactly.
Do you want to talk about any shows that you have upcoming? I'm not sure about your schedule.
Well, right now I currently have work at SOMA in Cape May, and I'm having another show there in May. I am curating with Terry Amig a show at Gallery 50.
Gallery 50.
In March.
Oh, and we can talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Go ahead, go through your shows.
And I also have a Christmas show coming up in Delaware at my gallery, the Station Gallery.
Nice. Do you want to tell us about the SOMA show this year?
Well, the SOMA show this year, I am, like I said, I'm doing a lot more of the little sculptures inside the frames, and I plan on having a special twist that will only be available at the SOMA Gallery.
Okay.
So
we have to see that show.
yeah.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
That's in May.
Hopefully it will be open for viewing.
Yeah, because right now it's not. It's there's no live openings.
Exactly.
But you can view the work during their hours.
I've been in there several times this summer, and it's great to be able to see the work, but no actual openings.
Yeah. Yep. And that's coincidentally in Carpenter Square Mall, right?
Yeah. How do you like that?
In Cape May. So we'll give them a plug. But there's nothing like seeing artwork in person, and especially your work, because of say the gold leaf on the frame, or the twinkle and the sparkle in your glass choices, in your mosaics, and the little fine details you put in your animals. Like sometimes just a slide in a virtual tour doesn't capture all of that. And a lot of your work is three-dimensional, where you really need to see it from all angles. So you're the kind of artist that we really need to see in person soon.
And everybody should see it.
I know, everybody. And art helps people in so many different ways. I was asked to, Friday night to come up with why art is important to people. Well, how do you answer that question? Because art is something different.
So subjective.
It is to every single person, and it does evoke emotion and your thought process, your fantasy, your imagination. But at the same time, it's just a reason to get out of the house and have some culture, and looking forward to your shows, and hopefully we'll all be back to normal sometime very soon.
God willing.
Yes. Is there anything else you want to add?
I'd like to take you for a tour of the farm and the studio, if you'd like.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see the swans?
Are they back there? Oh.
Are we naming this point?
Well, no, but we can.
Yellow Chair Point?
Yellow Chair Point. It now has a name.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Dig.